and welcome back to the Cinema MD podcast. My name is Matt.
And I'm still Dana.
So, it's been a while. We had a nice long hiatus, a break. It wasn't really planned, but, you know, that's the way things work out, I guess, with the holidays and being sick and, you know, all kinds of shit happens, and all of a sudden we don't do an episode for a month. So, today we're going to pick back up talking about the Golden Globes, which happened this past Sunday. We've seen a lot of the movies that were up for nominations. Some of them we haven't seen. We'll let you know in that case. But we're just going to kind of go through the categories here, give our opinions on the winners, the losers, who got snubbed, who should have been nominated that didn't. Things like that. We're not really going to get into Oscar guessing here yet because we're probably going to have a whole pre-Academy Awards episode at some point, as well as like a whole 2017, best of recap. So this is going to be more specifically just focused on the Globes themselves, and we'll jump right into it here. First of all, what'd you think of Seth Meyers?
Well, we should preface this with we got into the Golden Globes a little late, and I will apologize in advance also for my slight remaining frogginess here. Soldiering on. Seth Meyers, I feel like we didn't really get to see too much of him since we tuned in a little bit late to the actual episode. I saw some recaps of some of his opening monologue type jokes and things like that, and I think he's funny. I enjoy him.
Yeah, I mean, he towed the line between. He tried not to piss anybody off. That's kind of the way I saw it.
See, I don't know. I kind of think that Seth Meyers isn't really afraid to piss people off. Usually,
not on his show.
Right, yeah, he's a little more biting, I would say, than some of the other late night hosts.
No, he's fine with the political commentary on his show. I felt like during the actual show, the Golden Globe ceremony, he was a little more subdued. That being said, the actual, show itself, the actors and actresses did a pretty good job of getting their point across anyways. So
it was a night for ladies. I think he just kind of stepped out of the way.
Truth be told, it probably would have been a good year to bring back, say, Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. Maybe. Might have been a good move.
That's true. They could have gone for the strong all-female thing. I did hear some kind of rumors floating around about a little controversy of certain, sexual abuse survivors and some of the whistleblowers not being invited to the Golden Globes. I didn't really read too much into that as far as, the truth or accuracy or what was going on there, but kind of an interesting alternate take on it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got, your Rose McGowan, Asia Argento, Mira Sorvino. Obviously, they're in the news a lot. They, Harvey Weinstein, et cetera, et cetera. They weren't invited to the Golden Globes, apparently. Not like they're in movies, really, or have been recently, but the fact of the matter is that it would have been a classy move to at least extend the invitation, whether or not they wanted to show up or not. So if that's the case and they weren't invited, it's either stupidity, ignorance, or, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association were kind of low-key being assholes. So either way, I, for the most part, didn't have a problem with the Golden Globes this year. I thought it wasn't, there were no, the only laugh out loud moment came from Tommy Wiseau trying to get his hand on a microphone.
Oh, God, the most cringy event of all time.
That was great. I mean, James Franco, whatever. I don't know when. We'll see what happens with James Franco and his sexual abuse allegations, or sexual assault, whatever it is they claim he did. If he did it, well, fuck him. I mean, I don't know the extent. I don't really know the details of that. That being said, I thought he deserved to win for Disaster Artist, and he did. And when he brought Tommy Wiseau on stage, it almost turned into a huge disaster, and I kind of wish he would have let it.
Well, I think it also just kind of spoke to, yeah, man, I'm going to bring you to this event, and I'm going to bring my brother up on stage, and I got to recognize these people, but whoa, man, this is my moment. Do not touch that microphone.
Also, we have to address this because Dana brought it up before we started recording. She brought it to my attention. She's like, we have got to get some intro and outro music. And I let her know, hey, in editing, after we recorded these, for the last 3 episodes, I've been making some little intro and outro jingles for us. And I made her listen to them, and she laughed at me.
Well, there's a little more backstory here. So, we had thought of somewhat local bands' music as some good intro, outro music, and Matt contacted them to see if we, could use them, if they wanted to charge something, whatever, like to talk about it.
Not that we have, a budget. But,
no, not at all.
Maybe we could give them a pen or something.
Sure. So, and they never responded, which is totally fine, obviously understandable. Matt also dabbles a little bit with some synthesizer type stuff himself, and I thought, okay, well, we can make something.
I don't really know what I'm doing.
No, but we can make something. So then when I heard the what has been created, I thought it was pretty good.
Just so you all know, the lookout for any sort of actual musician to make a nice little intro and outro song of some sort, or jingle, or what have you. It'd be great. But for now, I've been just picking random standard sound clips, noise clips, instrument clips, whatever, that are built into my audio editing software, and just kind of throwing them in there and then fading them in and out.
If it wasn't already painfully obvious. So I was unaware that there was already some,
So just,
musical entertainment
I guess
provided.
my point being, we're in on the joke. We know it sucks. I knew it sucked when I made it. But I feel like it's better than just a cold intro and just my voice popping up out of nowhere. So enjoy the bad music. Pretend you're on an elevator. Have fun with it.
It'll continue until further notice.
And yeah, I'll keep trying to keep it fresh, until we get something that doesn't suck. Let's get right into the categories here. We're going to start with Best Animated Film, and that's the best one to start with because neither of us have seen a single fucking movie in that category.
Nope.
I've seen some animated films this year that I liked. None of them were nominated for Best Animated Film. I do need to see Coco. I've heard good things. It looks like Book of Life, which I really liked. And I think one of the reasons I haven't seen it is because it looks exactly like Book of Life. It's a Pixar movie. I absolutely believe that the animation is top-notch, the writing is top-notch, that it's heartfelt, that it's a good story, and everything I've read says that they do a really good job honoring the traditions of the Day of the Dead and Mexican heritage and culture. So really what I'm saying is I'm on board with Coco winning. I would have picked it to win even if I hadn't known anything about any of these movies, which I pretty much don't. That being said, in the little preview blurbs that they showed from each of these, Loving Vincent looks really cool, and I really want to see it.
Yeah, I had seen some stuff over the past year, little snippets and previews and things of that, and I mean, I don't think it was playing anywhere around here.
I think it was, but...
well, we weren't paying that much attention, I guess.
It was at, like, the main art, or whatever. It was at a small local theater. But I didn't know what it was at the time, and now I do, and now I want to see it, so now I'll be looking out for it again.
Yes, it did look cool, though. Yeah, it wasn't at Fantastic Fest. I didn't, super seek it out, but yeah, it does look interesting.
Boss Baby and Ferdinand. Now, I've heard decent things about Ferdinand. I'm sure it's a pretty good, family film. Not something I'm probably going to seek out on my own. The Boss Baby, everything I've heard is that it pretty much just sucks. I don't know. Maybe a little kid would like it. Maybe there's a little kid on the Hollywood Foreign Press Association that votes for these things. I don't know.
I don't remember what the breadwinner was.
The breadwinner looked like some sort of Christianity animated film of some sort.
I really don't remember.
I thought it had something to do with Jesus and babies, and I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I was going by the little... I'm judging it based on the 5 seconds I saw during the Golden Globes.
You can tell we really prepare for these things.
Hey, at least I got all the winners pulled up. I can't remember all the nominees off the top of my head. All right, so we're going to go then into Best Motion Picture Foreign Language. And I had 2 that I thought were going to win. One of which we've seen, The Square, which we saw at Fantastic Fest. I have a review, my personal review posted on our website from a ways back. You can search for it. I was lukewarm on it, I guess I would say. I thought that it's basically a series of vignettes. It doesn't really have a like cohesive storyline for the most part. And these series of, say, vignettes that primarily focus around the life of one character who's a museum curator. Some of them I felt like were amazing and hilarious and poignant, and they kind of hit hard. And others I was kind of bored and thought it was kind of dumb. So I just thought it didn't come together to make a great movie. I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah, I would be willing to see The Square again. I think we both went into it with pretty high expectations, though, because all the things we had seen about it did make it look really, really funny, and parts of it were really, really funny. But yeah, kind of, we left thinking it kind of meandered. It was a little bit too long. It didn't really tie together. But with all that said, I would see it again to see if maybe it comes together a little bit better on a second viewing. But with all the critical acclaim and all the, some of the more big name actors and actresses, I thought that it was kind of a shoo-in, so I was surprised it didn't win.
The other one that I thought had a chance was First They Killed My Father. That's available to watch on Netflix, directed by Angelina Jolie. I don't know a ton about it. It's kind of on my Netflix queue to watch, along with Mudbound, which I still haven't watched yet. A couple movies on Netflix that I want to see. So I thought that maybe just the fact that it had the Angelina Jolie tie might kind of give it a bump, especially if a lot of the members of the HFPA hadn't seen the other films. Maybe they'd go with something that they knew names in. The other three nominees, A Fantastic Woman, In the Fade, and Loveless, I knew less than nothing about. In the Fade was the eventual winner. Lo and behold, it stars Diane Kruger, and it's a German and French language film. I believe the movie was made in Germany, I think. So it looked interesting. Again, I don't know a lot about it, but now that I know these nominees, I will be seeking out these movies, seeing if they're available to stream. If they show up in theaters, I will, give them the time of day instead of just pretending like I have no idea what's going on. So, best screenplay in a motion picture. This one, I guess I the only movies, there's two movies on this list I haven't seen yet, and that's primarily just because they just came out or haven't come out yet. Molly's Game and The Post I have not seen. I figured Molly's Game had a good chance because of Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah, Aaron Sorkin, I figured that one might be kind of a shoo-in because he's generally noted for that.
That being said, I have seen The Shape of Water, Lady Bird, and Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Of those, the script, the dialogue, and the writing in general that I felt was the strongest was easily Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. And that was the eventual winner, which was really no surprise to me. I figured in my mind, it was Three Billboards or it was Aaron Sorkin. So,
well, I would say that Lady Bird should be noted in there. I was a little bit surprised on The Shape of Water in terms of screenplay. Not that it was bad by any means, but the main character doesn't speak. Not that she doesn't have lines. I know.
It'd be interesting to see the script.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, but I guess I just wouldn't put my vote in for screenplay on that one. Lady Bird, though, was written very purposefully and effectively in terms of trying to capture that, teenage girl, coming of age, mother-daughter relationship, all of that stuff super comes together with the dialogue in that one, too. So to me, Lady Bird would be like a close second, but I do think that Three Billboards deserved it.
I want to just go back to, I really do want to see the Shape of Water script. Honestly, I want to see what was in that script in terms of notes for Sally Hawkins' character. She doesn't speak, but she says a lot, not only with her sign language, but just kind of with her face, with her gestures, things like that. I would really like to know how, if that was well written into the script and it was very specific and gave, kind of painted the picture. Maybe that's the case, and maybe it was really well done. But all things considered, all things being equal, Three Billboards should have won, and it did win, in my opinion. So now we're going to the worst category for this year, which is Best Original Song in a Motion Picture, because for my money, there really wasn't an original song that was worth remembering.
You say remember, I didn't even know any of these.
The only one I recognize is This Is Me from The Greatest Showman because it's in the trailer. I still want to see that movie. I like musicals. I like Hugh Jackman. Hell, I like Zac Efron. I think he's funny. But I haven't seen it yet. Mighty River from Mudbound. My only guess, it's a Mary J. Blige song, so my guess is it plays over like the end credits or something. Seemed like a fine song. The other songs, don't care. I don't know. I did Remember Me from if the song from Coco was like, I guess I would have assumed, not knowing any of these songs, that the song from the Pixar movie would win. That'd be like my, like, knowing nothing, that would be my where I'd put my money behind, I guess.
I guess for me too, I do want to see The Greatest Showman. I also enjoy musicals, things like that. The thing that has kind of been stopping me so far has just been that song in particular that plays during the preview. I think it sounds really cheesy and not like a good musical material, like super overproduced, and that's actually has been what's stopped me so far from seeing that.
Speaking of Hugh Jackman, did you see his shade face when James Franco won for Best Actor in a Comedy Musical?
Oh, I didn't think he was
sitting
giving
there,
shade,
just
was
like,
he?
oh, he's just like completely bewildered.
Well, then he obviously didn't see the movie, because I would say James Franco was deserving of that one. Skip ahead, spoiler there.
All right, moving past original song, something that's more interesting, which is the original score in a motion picture. And this one, I thought, could have gone two ways. My pick ended up winning, which was The Shape of Water. I mentioned when we got out of the theater, like, I really loved the score. It's kind of old-timey. It's playful.
It sounds a little underwatery, if that makes sense, if you can use that term descriptively.
But and it's a period piece, and I feel like the music helped paint the picture of the time as well. It was just a really well done score. Three Billboards had an excellent score as well by Carter Burwell, who's a frequent collaborator of the Coen brothers. So honestly, I would have been okay with that too. But yeah, The Shape of Water had the most memorable score to me, and it won for it. Now, The Phantom Thread was nominated. Phantom Thread hasn't released anywhere near us, so we haven't gotten a chance to see it yet. It looks pretty phenomenal. Daniel Day-Lewis kind of looked like a tool with his earring, like he always does, but,
I'm getting a little tired of Daniel Day-Lewis,
but he's a pretentious whatever, but he's a great actor.
He's an amazing actor, but I feel like he really knows it at this point, and you gotta stop saying you're quitting acting unless you're really quitting acting.
Yeah, I'm quitting acting. I shaved my head. I got an earring. I'm quitting acting. I'm the greatest. So, whatever. The movie looks great. Paul Thomas Anderson's great. No idea what the score is like because it's not out anywhere yet. The Post, same thing. I'm sure it's a John Williams score. I'm sure it's amazing. But The Post doesn't release here until Friday, so we haven't had a chance to see it yet, which sucks because I really want to see The Post. Dunkirk, we did see, and yeah, I guess all I can really say is that it had a score.
I remember in...
We did discuss it.
Right, in my review of it, because I think that was maybe our first episode.
It was back in the first episode we talked about the score to Dunkirk.
I did talk about the score, that it almost... I'm trying to think how I phrased it. Y'all can go back and listen to it. Kind of that it was its own character almost, that it definitely served a purpose, but I guess... To me, it's not a score that I would listen to on its own. It was very effective in the movie and in moving the story forward and setting the mood, but was not something that I would put on to listen to in my house.
Yeah, a score that helps contribute to the quality of a film is great, and that's a necessary part of a good movie. But if it's not something that sticks with you long after you've seen the movie, if it's not something that you kind of like hum to yourself a little bit, then it doesn't deserve to win an award either, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Next category, moving on to Supporting Actor in a Motion Picture. So the nominees in this one were Willem Dafoe for The Florida Project, Armie Hammer in Call Me By Your Name, Richard Jenkins in The Shape of Water, Christopher Plummer for All the Money in the World, and Sam Rockwell for Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Full disclosure, this is the problem with the Golden Globes. The award show happens before a lot of these movies actually get released outside of New York and LA. So The Florida Project, Call Me By Your Name, and All the Money in the World. Now, All the Money in the World has been released, but what can I say? We had other movies to see.
Yeah, I think we could have seen the other two. Call Me by Your Name and The Florida Project have been out. We've just been surviving over here.
It's been a rough winter. What can I say? Between fucking flu season and our poor dog, our pug, was in the hospital for like 3 days. So, yeah, we had a little rough go of it. So we're getting caught up with some of these. By the time Oscar season rolls around, we will have seen all of these for sure. But the fact is that when I left the theater after seeing Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, I already knew that Frances McDormand and Sam Rockwell were shoo-ins for nominations, and in my opinion, they should both probably win every award that they get nominated for.
Yeah, they were both pretty phenomenal. I mean, that movie was excellent on several levels. It was super funny, very memorable, very quotable, in almost like an inside joke kind of way. But, also on a serious topic as well, and beautifully played.
Well, also, if we're talking Best Supporting Actor, I know screen time isn't as big of a deal, but the fact is that Sam Rockwell is basically another lead in that movie. He supporting actor, yeah, but he's got a lot of screen time, and he's a very important character in the movie. I don't know, like, at least in The Shape of Water, like, Richard Jenkins, yes, he's an important character in the movie, and he plays a fantastic role, but he doesn't have exactly the kind of screen time that Sam Rockwell does in Three Billboards.
Yeah, I would say Richard Jenkins was more actually supporting, you know what I mean? Whereas Sam Rockwell kind of had more of an arc and was less important in the beginning of the film and kind of gained momentum, and really a large focus of the movie by the end was on him.
I'm looking forward to seeing All the Money in the World because of Christopher Plummer. Obviously, they did his reshoots in like 9 days or something ridiculous. So I'm really looking forward to that because by all accounts, he pretty much made the movie in those reshoots. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to Call Me by Your Name and The Florida Project. But, as of right now, they got the right pick. Sam Rockwell deserved it. Best Supporting Actress in a Motion Picture. Mary J. Blige for Mudbound, which we've already established I haven't seen yet, but it's on my Netflix queue. Hong Chow for Downsizing, which we have seen. Allison Janney in I, Tonya, which we have also seen. And then the last two, Laurie Metcalf in Lady Bird and Octavia Spencer for The Shape of Water. So Mudbound's the only one that we hadn't seen yet. That being said, there's some really strong performances in this category already. So it's going to be tough going for Mary J. Blige. Mary J. Blige. Mary J. Blige. So it's going to be tough for her to get, a win in this category regardless because it's a tough category this year. I guess we can start with Hong Chow and Downsizing. We saw this one back at Fantastic Fest.
Yeah, it's a very disappointing movie. Overall, maybe it was hyped a little bit too much, but I think even if I had seen just the previews, I would have gotten a different expectation from it. It was the closing night movie at Fantastic Fest. Had a lot of big name actors in it. Looked like it was going to be very funny. And then it just kind of wasn't. It just was okay. It had a couple laughs, but it really wasn't that funny.
I will say Hong Chow was good in the movie. She provided a lot of the comedic moments in the movie. And it wasn't like funny because she's, the Asian woman. It was funny because she was funny. She had good timing, she had some good lines in the movie, and she played a good part. So she was definitely a strong part of that movie. But I wouldn't consider her I really wouldn't consider her a serious contender for this award this year. In my opinion, there's two strong
the competition was a little bit tougher. Octavia Spencer, great as she always is, definitely was a supporting role. But I think the two real contenders for the award, and obviously one of them was the winner, was between Allison Janney and Laurie Metcalf. Allison Janney was so good in I, Tonya. She was just horrendous. She was so awful and mean and terrifying. She really played it well. It was kind of a bummer not to see Laurie Metcalf win, though, too. Both played mothers in their respective movies.
One played a good mother. One played one of the... Seriously, Allison Janney and I, Tonya might be one of the classic all time, like, remembered for 100 years worst film mothers of all time.
Like, really a true villain, honestly. But Laurie Metcalf was so good, too, in Lady Bird, so it was kind of a bummer not to see her win, but it really was a toss-up. If either one had, obviously Allison Janney won, but had it gone either way, both very deserved.
If it wasn't based on a true story, I would say that that Allison Janney was almost too over the top. But it is a true story, and it's based on conflicting interviews, granted, but it's still based on real interviews that actually happened. All right, so now we go to we're getting into the big categories here. So best performance by an actor in a motion picture, musical or comedy. So this is lead actor in a musical or comedy. Steve Carell, Battle of the Sexes, Ansel Elgort, Baby Driver, James Franco, The Disaster Artist, Hugh Jackman, The Greatest Showman, Daniel Kaluuya in the laugh out loud comedy performance of the year in Get Out.
Yeah, it was such a bummer. I mean, he obviously was amazing in that film, but that was the absolute wrong category. I mean, there's really no way around it. It was not... It had some comedic moments. It wasn't a comedy, though, so I feel like he really couldn't compete against those other actors because it wasn't a comedic performance.
The movie wasn't a comedy. The movie was terrifying. The movie, like, every movie has some laughs. 3 Billboards was way funnier than Get Out. I was laughing through a lot of 3 Billboards, even though it deals with, admittedly serious topics. To me, that's a funnier movie than Get Out. But it's a drama and Get Out's a comedy. I don't know. The Martian was a comedy last year. Who fucking knows, man? The Hollywood Foreign Press Association, somebody that selects the movies for these categories has a real weird sense of humor. I really don't understand. Or maybe they just wanted to, they wanted Get Out to get nominated. They figured it had a better chance. I have no idea what happened. That being said, the only actor in this category who I think had no chance, I mean, honestly, Baby Driver is one of my favorite movies of the year. It'll be in my top 5. Ansel Elgort was good, but it's not that memorable of a performance to me. I mean, I'm not going to shout his name from the rooftops. He was really good in the movie. The movie was really good, but no, I'm not going to... He doesn't deserve an award for the performance.
Well, we've talked about this amongst ourselves previous to this also, but it really was more a year for female performances in general, aside from, women in the news and all the allegations that have come out and all that stuff aside. You look at the nominees or the really notable standout female performances and they're all really good and you have a tough time picking. These nominees feel like, well, these are all good actors and these were all good movies, why not? I mean, Battle of the Sexes was pretty good. Steve Carell was fine.
Yeah, but
Same
to me,
thing.
Steve Carell might as well have been a Best Supporting Actor. That
Right.
was Emma Stone's movie. It was about Billie Jean King. Steve Carell was a supporting character.
We still haven't seen
really
The Greatest
don't-
Showman, so we can't really talk too much to that.
I'm
but...
sure Hugh Jackman was great, and The Greatest Showman certainly falls into the musical or comedy category. But really, to me, James Franco as Tommy Wiseau, it was like an all-time performance. I mean, it's the best performance that James Franco's probably ever going to put in. Yeah. I mean, I know 127 hours, great, whatever. This was a really funny movie. I mean, this was the funniest movie I've seen so far this year. I laughed constantly.
Yeah, so it was very funny. He very much became that person. Very well deserved. The other nominees, I don't think were really...
No, Steve Carell was great, but again, I think it's a supporting role.
Yeah.
Ansel Elgort was great. Baby Driver is a fantastic movie. But Ansel Elgort is not who I will remember from that movie. Honestly, I'm going to remember John Hamm from that movie, or Jamie Foxx. And Daniel Kaluuya.
It's just not the right category.
And again, he was great. I think that's more of an ensemble performance, though. I wouldn't single Daniel Kaluuya out as being the reason Get Out was a great movie.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I could argue that a little bit. I think he was pretty phenomenal. And obviously the other actors had to be as well.
I mean, Allison Williams as the as a complete sociopath.
No, she was great too. But I mean, if you're looking at two sides of a coin, good versus evil, he did have it. It wasn't either the year
She
for
ate
him
her
or
Fruit
it
Loops
wasn't.
and her milk separately.
I know, that's the most horrifying thing of the whole movie.
Well, it's horrifying, but when you think about it, though, she was so secretly racist in that movie and such a psychopath that she had to keep the colored Fruit Loops separate from the white milk.
The symbolism is heavy with this one.
There was a lot of symbolism in that movie. That was great. It was a great movie. Okay. So I'm following the order of these nominations, and I don't really agree with it. So I'm moving up to Best Actress in a Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. Again, this is a strong category. I think, to me, you got two... If you heard a random shuffling, that was a dog. Oh. He's about to...
If you have a unique name in Hollywood, though, most people, I feel like, know how to say it. Especially, yes, the way it's spelled. It's an Irish name. It doesn't look anything like that. But I don't know how you're going to get Saoirse out of that.
Would you have preferred Saoirse?
Yes, that would have been amazing.
Seahorse Ronan.
I loved Lady Bird, though. I thought she did great. Maybe I just am sentimental and nostalgic about it, but Margot Robbie would have been great, too. But I almost feel like she kind of overdid it a little bit just in some of the little clips that they showed of Tonya Harding at the end of that film. And I know Margot Robbie is, Australian?
Australian is correct.
So she's got to get the American accent going, which I'm sure is not easy. But she kind of goes too far with it into almost like a... It definitely wasn't like a southern thing, because obviously Tonya Harding wasn't from the South, she was from Oregon, but it was almost like a New York type accent. And if you hear actual interviews with Tonya Harding, she didn't talk like that.
It was what we like to call here in America the white trash accent.
Yeah, I would agree.
It was the NASCAR accent. It was the Logan Lucky accent.
Well, that one was more south. I mean, that
was West Virginia. Okay.
West Virginia, come on.
You know what? Rural Oregon, rural West Virginia, it's all the same. I don't care.
So yeah, that was my only complaint.
Yeah. It was literally a movie about... I mean, she was still kind of a terrible person, let's be honest, but it was definitely a movie about why her, horrible, low-income, abusive mother, abusive boyfriend, husband, no father, white trash life that she had to live turned her into a shitty person that was part of a plot to break someone's kneecap.
Yes.
So anyways, you thought Saoirse Ronan probably deserved it. I thought Margot Robbie... or Margot Robert and Seahorse Ronan. However you want to pronounce their names, they both deserve to win. In this case, Saoirse Ronan won for Lady Bird, and I'm fine with that. It was a great performance. And probably one of the best coming-of-age movies in a long time.
You love those.
I do. I love me some coming-of-age movies. So, moving on to Best Director, which was my favorite category, I think. Mostly because of who won, because Guillermo del Toro won, and I thought it was an impossibility that he would win. I thought there was no fucking way that Guillermo del Toro was going to win. It'd be like Wes Anderson winning or something.
I felt a little bad for him, though, because, and I understand what she was saying, but Natalie Portman, as she was reading the nominees, made it a point to say, and the all-male nominees for Best Director really drove it home.
And then they literally panned to the face of every single director nominated, and they all looked like they had just shit their pants.
Yes, they all looked like they wanted to melt into the floor, and that they were very ashamed of their penises, and it was just kind of an awkward moment for all.
Well, and this all would have been avoided if the fucking Hollywood Foreign Press Association had not nominated Ridley Scott for All the Money in the World, and because nobody thought he was getting nominated for that, and had instead nominated Greta Gerwig for Lady Bird, which everyone thought was going to happen. All they had to do was fucking do what everyone expected them to do, and what everyone expects will happen at the Oscars, which is that Greta Gerwig will get a Best Director nomination because she deserves it, and because All the Money in the World is not nearly as good of a film as Lady Bird. So why is Ridley Scott nominated again, other than the fact that he's
Ridley Scott
fucked up the Alien franchise for the last 5 years?
Right. So yes, I was very happy for Guillermo del Toro, but he definitely was facing, I felt like, a tough crowd, and it was kind of that wasn't right after Oprah's speech, was it? Before that, after that, it was around there.
I don't really remember the timing. I
remember the timing was awkward.
Listen, and it was. I mean, he made a good speech. He's got a pretty thick Mexican accent. He did the best he could. I was hoping he would have name dropped Greta Gerwig, but I don't really know how much he knows about everything that's going on. Anyways,
he did make it a point to recognize his female cast as being the reason why the film did well, and
the film has two strong female leads. Quite honestly, that being the case, like I said, he had a speech prepared, and I think he got thrown off. To be quite honest.
Yes, I think so too.
But hey, he thanked Lon Chaney, so that was thanked about. He loves Lon Chaney and Monsters, so hey, good on him. I was fine with that. I feel like it was probably going to go to Guillermo del Toro, Martin McDonagh for 3 Billboards, or Christopher Nolan for Dunkirk. I thought any of those three would have been deserving. I haven't seen The Post, but Steven Spielberg. He's on autopilot. His movies are great. Bridge of Spies was great, but for Steven Spielberg to win an award over somebody that hasn't won an award for directing, I really feel like he's got to come at me with something new that blows me the fuck away, or else I'm just going to be like, come on, dude, you do this in your sleep.
Yeah, it's always nice to root for the underdog, too.
Yeah, I mean, it's not fair for me to say that about Steven Spielberg, but it's just how I feel. He's too consistent, and when he comes out with another movie like The Post that is probably fantastic, but it's not breaking new ground, then no, I'm not. And you've got Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep. Your job is done. Go home. All right. Moving on to Best Performance by an Actor in a Motion Picture Drama. We have got Timothée Chalamet in Call Me By Your Name, Daniel Day-Lewis, Phantom Thread, Tom Hanks, The Post, Gary Oldman, Darkest Hour, Denzel Washington for Roman J. Israel Esquire.
We didn't see any of these movies.
In a clean sweep, we haven't seen shit. We are so prepared.
Not a one.
So, being that we are 100% not qualified to discuss the winner or nominees in this category, I'm just going to go ahead and say that I watched a video on the Graham Norton show of Gary Oldman in Winston Churchill makeup dancing to James Brown. And that was awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Gary Oldman fucking deserves it.
Way to go, man.
Denzel Washington's always good. That movie looks pretty good. Tom Hanks is always good. The Post looks really good. Daniel Day-Lewis has got an earring and he shaved his head and he's kind of a tool, but that looks really good too. And I've heard nothing but good things about Timothée Chalamet and Call Me By Your Name. He's also in Lady Bird, by the way. He's the poetry reading douchebag boyfriend.
Yeah. I kept looking at him during the awards, and I was like, he's in something else. That's what it is.
So, I really don't know who I think should have won this. Gary Oldman hasn't really won, major acting awards in his career, and he probably has kind of paid his dues at this point, which might be why they gave it to him. Also, it's Winston Churchill. It's a historical character. That just seems to kind of add to it. But to be perfectly honest, I won't really be able to give a good judgment of this win until I see more of these movies, which, will happen in the coming weeks. All right, going up to Best Performance by an Actress in a Motion Picture Drama. Jessica Chastain, Molly's Game, Sally Hawkins, The Shape of Water, Frances McDormand, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, Meryl Streep for The Post, and Michelle Williams for All the Money in the World. Frances McDormand ended up winning for 3 Billboards.
Obviously.
I don't think that there could have been an easier decision to make.
Yeah, really clear winner.
In my opinion, there are 3 potential winners for Best Performance by an Actress in the Oscars, where you're going to obviously combine the drama/comedy categories. It's going to be between Frances McDormand, Margot Robbie, and Seahorse Ronan. those are going to be your three nominees, and then there's going to be two other nominees in there. It's probably going to be Sally Hawkins and Meryl Streep, because Meryl Streep gets nominated as long as she puts on clothes in the morning. So those are probably going to be your nominees. Frances McDormand is going to win this in her sleep.
Let's give a shout out though to Sally Hawkins, because she's been in stuff before, but I feel like this past year she was in two pretty decent movies. This one and Maudie, which was super adorable, and which she also played sort of a, I don't want to say quirky, not like in a manic pixie dream girl kind of quirky, but in more of like a disabled, I don't know, you're leaving me hanging here. Jeez.
No, okay. Yeah, Sally Hawkins was great, and I think honestly, I'm surprised she got nominated for The Shape of Water instead of Maudie. I thought Maudie was the more difficult role. They're both difficult roles. She's basically playing, she's playing disabled characters in both movies with different disabilities that have different nuances and different difficulties as an actress. I'm sure both of these were extremely challenging roles, to be honest.
Overall, though, The Shape of Water was a better movie. It was at least a more...
No, The Shape of Water was the more well-rounded film. Yeah. It was the better movie. And it was the better, like, maybe I would say the better overall character, like a more memorable character to me. But that's also because I love Guillermo del Toro and I love The Shape of Water. I didn't really love Maudie in general. It was a good movie. It was a biopic. And it was a great performance, but I'm not going to remember that movie 10 years from now, more than likely.
Fair enough.
But no, Sally Hawkins, I hope she gets nominated for an Oscar. That'd be great for The Shape of Water. The more accolades thrown upon that movie, the better, in my opinion. But Frances McDormand in Three Billboards is one of the like quintessential lead female roles in recent memory to me. So I absolutely think she's going to run away with every award that she gets nominated for this year. That's just my opinion. So that brings us to the two big categories for the Golden Globes, the Best Pictures. So first one, Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy. You had The Disaster Artist, Get Out, The Greatest Showman, I, Tonya, and Lady Bird. And of all of these movies, there's probably two of them that might get nominated for Best Picture, and that's Get Out and Lady Bird. And I'm talking get nominated for an Oscar. The Disaster Artist was really good, and it was really funny, but really that's about James Franco's performance as Tommy Wiseau. And that's the crux of the film. The Greatest Showman is a musical. It seems kind of more like a popcorn flick to me. I'm sure it's entertaining, but it doesn't seem like the kind of movie that's going to be awards material. I, Tonya is a really good biopic with a couple really good performances. But as on the whole, like the narrative of the film is not the most captivating thing in the world. You know what's going to happen. It doesn't really break the mold too much. So it's between Get Out and Lady Bird. Get Out, the musical or comedy, of course, as it certainly is according to the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. Lady Bird's the clear-cut winner, though, to me. And I think that I don't know if it would be if it was just a Best Movie category.
Yeah, I think in this specific category it stands out, but will it win out against some of the others for Best Picture for an Oscar? Maybe not.
I don't know. I could go Get Out or Lady Bird. Lady Bird ended up winning Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. I'm glad it did because it got Greta Gerwig some time on stage, which she, needed after getting shunned by the HFPA for Best Director, which was stupid. Whatever. But Get Out, in my opinion, could have. If that would have won, I wouldn't have been surprised. The only thing I would have been surprised about is that it wasn't nominated as a drama.
I feel like, and this is completely undeserved, I feel like Get Out is gonna maybe slip by not as recognized as it should be this year. I feel like the culture and the climate of Hollywood right now is all about women, which is great. I'm not criticizing, but I think that it's like Get Out just missed the what's popular in culture right now, or what the cause is, what the current controversy is. Not that, racial disparity has disappeared from the country for sure. But it almost seemed a little bit more relevant last year. I know that sounds terrible. I'm just talking about in the awards and pop culture movie arena. But yeah, I mean, really, no one talked about the fact that Jordan Peele didn't get nominated for Best Director either, and his movie got, nominated for Best Comedy for the Golden Globes, which is just laughable.
So what you're saying is, if Get Out had come out before Donald Trump was president, then it would have stood a much better chance, because since he's taken office, racial oppression has dropped to an all-time low, and now female oppression has risen.
Oh, I mean, obviously our current president has solved really all of our problems, so, there's really no oppression and no, issues to solve anymore. He's fixed them all, didn't you know?
Sorry, I wasn't listening. So, yes, Lady Bird won musical or comedy. Again, fine with that. That was a good category. Best motion picture drama. So this is the quote-unquote big category, I guess. Whatever. It depends, I guess, how you view genres. But in general, drama is the big category. So, Call Me By Your Name, Dunkirk, The Post, The Shape of Water, and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri are your nominees. I wouldn't have been surprised if any of these won, because I really wasn't sure how they were going to go here. I would have assumed it would be Dunkirk, The Post, or 3 Billboards. Because of the awards that The Shape of Water won throughout the night, since it won Best Director, I thought it maybe had an outside chance, but it's a real strange movie. I didn't really see it as awards. Not that it's not awards material. I didn't think that
just
the people that picked these awards would have gravitated to it the way they have.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was deserving for things like, original score and things like that. But yeah, as far as the overall best picture, I wouldn't have voted for it either.
Listen, not even H.P. Lovecraft ever wrote a story about, having sex with the fish man.
Hey, just, so it was a little before his time, after his time. Yeah, he didn't do it.
Well, H.P. Lovecraft was like a raging bigot, so I'm sure he wouldn't have approved. So the winner of the Best Motion Picture Drama turned out to be 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. As you can probably tell from the fact that I thought it was deserving of every other win it's gotten, I think it should have won. I think it was a great movie. It was probably my favorite movie of the year. I wouldn't have been surprised at The Post, because even though I haven't seen it, it's Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep, and it's Steven Spielberg, and John Williams does the score, and it's very timely with all of the bullshit about fake news and distrust of the media, and it's an important movie, more than likely. I haven't seen it. I guess I can't judge, but I feel like we need more movies that show what the press can do when they do their jobs properly. I think that's important that we don't forget that. So I would have been fine with that winning. Dunkirk. I think Dunkirk is one of those movies like something, in general with war films, they're greater, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. All right?
Mm-hmm. You said it.
I said it. Yes. So while I'm not surprised it didn't get nominated for any acting awards or anything like that, or didn't really win any big awards, it's the kind of movie that I could still see winning Best Picture. Because overall, it's a great movie. Call Me By Your Name is one of those smaller movies that I guess, if Moonlight can do it, then Call Me By Your Name could pull it off too, is my thought process here. So I wouldn't have been surprised if it pulled out an upset win, but again, I haven't seen it. I wasn't really expecting it to win this category, though. And same with Shape of Water. The only reason I thought it had a chance by the end of the night was some of the awards it had already won. In the end, I thought it was between 3 Billboards and The Post. The Post hadn't won shit all night. 3 Billboards had won everything. So by the time they opened the envelope, I was pretty sure 3 Billboards was going to win, and that's what it did.
Same.
Thanks for that comment.
I'm here to support you.
All right. So That about does it for our Golden Globes episode. We dragged it on for far longer than we anticipated. I thought we were going to go through these pretty quick, but, that's the way the cookie crumbles. So, thanks for listening, and, thanks for sticking with it through our, holiday hiatus, as I'm going to call it forever.
Stick around. We'll do more things, I swear.
Yep, we'll be getting back on a regular schedule now that the holidays are over and we're not hacking up a lung all day. Although Dana did lose her voice yesterday, she couldn't speak at all. It was hilarious. I laughed at her. I was busy trying to fix our dishwasher. It didn't work. It's broken. I hate it. I have to do the dishes by hand. It's the worst thing ever.
These are the trials.
Yep, movies. All right, cool. We'll go see some more movies. We'll talk about them. Please listen to us do that. And if you haven't followed us on Instagram, do that. If you haven't followed us on Twitter, do that. We'll be posting more things on social media. We'll be posting more episodes. I'm going to be posting more reviews on the website, so check that out too. cinemamdpodcast.com. I will post text reviews of movies that we don't get around to talking about on the podcast, including Star Wars. I will be posting my thoughts on Star Wars, so I know there's a lot of mixed emotions about that, but I'm a big Star Wars fan. I'll have my thoughts. And other than that, just check us out everywhere you can. We'll be having a new episode next week, and hopefully every week thereafter for the foreseeable future. Thanks for listening.
Bye.